Good morning. This is Ryan with the Something About Catholics podcast. I wanted to touch base with everybody here and just say that Jesse and I are going to go on a vacation for 2 weeks, and we will come back shortly after our batteries are recharged, and we will come back ready and raring to go with some more of Something About Catholics. On a separate note, wanted to speak about something just very briefly that's been bothering me this week. You know, on Wednesday afternoon, I was in the middle of a pretty big meeting. And I looked down at my phone during a break and saw that Charlie Kirk had been shot at. And for whatever reason in my mind, I figured, man, I hope he's okay. And then I got a notification a couple moments later that he had actually been shot. And so, of course, I'm trying to race through my phone, trying to figure out what happened, what the latest is. And then I get the news that he has been killed. And not only killed, but the internet was rife with video footage of a live assassination taking place on a college campus. Seeing a human life snuffed out for whatever reason should shock us to our core, regardless of their age, regardless of what they believe. And in this case, somebody that's 31 years old, somebody that has done so much in their 31 years, more than most of us do in a lifetime, is just absolutely jarring. Somebody that has spent a lot of time on the internet and on podcasts and having discussions with others about politics. I'm very familiar with sites like the Daily Wire and Turning Point USA and The Blaze and this new face of the conservative movement. And I've always found what's interesting about it is each of the individuals that I follow, whether it's Ben Shapiro or Michael Knowles or Matt Walsh or Charlie Kirk, all seem to have their own viewpoints and differences of opinion. And it's something that I've always appreciated about the Republican Party as a whole, is that we have underlying conservative beliefs, but there are differences of opinion about how we go about doing and maintaining those things. And what really appealed to me about Charlie Kirk is how he would go to these different college campuses, have an open mic, and invite individuals that disagreed with him to walk up to the microphone and speak to him. Very civil way to debate others. And in my opinion, the best way to resolve a difference in opinion is to discuss. And when you snuff out the discussion by snuffing out a human life, what are we left with? What is the country left with? And then if you add on top of that individuals that cheer and are happy about the loss of a human life, snuffing out a human life that was providing an open platform to discuss differences, where does that leave us as a society? You know, I would watch these streams from time to time on the internet where Charlie Kirk would provide these debate sessions. And I was always impressed by the fact that Charlie Kirk could argue with just about anybody, and he always had facts to back everything up. You could literally see the guy's brain almost like a human computer, but he always remained civil. He always entertained discussion. And most importantly, he always kept God at the very center of every one of his core beliefs. The amount of misinformation that I've seen this week on the internet about casting a shadow on this young man whose life was taken too soon, calling him racist, a bigot. Individuals are just so out of touch, and I would just encourage people that feel this way to do a little bit more research outside of taking quotes out of context and then reposting them online over and over and over again. I think we as a society have a lot of thinking to do and a lot of growing up to do. And when you remove God from society, when you remove God from everything that we do, when you remove God from this country, what are people left with? Where are people's morals, their sense of right and wrong? Is it any wonder when somebody goes off to college and is quickly brainwashed because they don't have that foundation? And then you have political leaders that cheer these things on. As a matter of fact, just watching Congress after this happened try to take a moment of silence and to pray for this young man's soul, only to be met with jeers and boos from the Democratic Party. These are the people that represent us. What kind of society is this? And then we wonder why these things happen. Again, I wrestled with whether or not I should say anything about this, but it's been eating me up inside. I felt sick to my stomach on Wednesday. I had a really hard time focusing on Thursday. And after talking with Jesse about it, it almost feels like a state of mourning. And I can't shake the fact that that could have been me up there. That could have been any of my friends that I have normal political discourse with. We don't always agree on everything, but we have civil debates. And if we're at a point in society where we can't do that, I don't really know where that leaves us. And I just think it's very unfortunate that, fortunate doesn't even begin to describe it. It's devastating, absolutely devastating that somebody so young had their life snuffed out because of differences in opinion. I think we would do well to check ourselves in polite society before we start calling each other fascists and Nazis. And I also think we should begin thinking about what's at our core. Because without God, I think that this is what society begins to look like. I want to pray for Charlie Kirk and his soul, and for his wife and 2 kids that he leaves behind. And I just think it is so fascinating, and I will leave you all with this, but 4 days before he was assassinated, he said the following on X, and it really stuck out to me. Jesus defeated death so you can live.